Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 931, on the 9th of August 2026. Richard Saunders coming to you from Sydney Skeptics in the Pub. I'm here with the Secretary of Australian Skeptics, Lara, Benham. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is morning, isn't it?
Not really, but it was.
Well, when the show comes out, it goes out in the morning. And we're sitting near Dr. Sue Ieraci. Hi, Sue.
Hello there, Richard. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Sue, you appear in the Skeptic Zone this week later on with Maynard. Keep listening to the show, Sue, and you'll hear yourself a bit later on. Lara,
Hello.
We're still recovering from the wonderful Noticon.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was incredible. I loved it.
What a lineup. I mean, the Skeptics Guide Rogues were there, which was a great lineup, but the entourage was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah. So they brought George Hrab with them, as they often do. And they also had with them Andrea Jones-Roy and Brian Wecht, who are two people I hadn't met before. Just absolutely delightful, hilarious on stage. Really good.
And you've introduced me since to some of Brian's wacky videos, which are fantastic.
Yeah, so Brian is actually in his other part of his life in a band called the Ninja Sex Party, which, you know, you and I, Richard, we're late to the Ninja Sex Party, but we discovered it on YouTube. We've been watching, and absolutely hilarious. Yep, love it.
It's like this rock opera, isn't it, in a way? That's what I thought when I was watching these clips.
Lonely Island, have you seen that?
No.
Okay, I'll introduce you to that.
All right.
This is probably not appropriate for the Skeptics, though.
We'll let the listeners decide that. But I'm sure the listeners want to know what's coming up in this week's show. We're going to kick off with a two-part interview with Ben Radford. Ben Radford, who was in Buffalo.
Yes, we met him at SciCon, yeah.
Great to see Ben. Always great to see Ben. And this week, Ben and I talk about his new book and about the weird and strange things in New Mexico. I've been to New Mexico. I visited Ben some years ago. It's a wonderful place. Can't wait to go back.
I haven't been. I believe the book is already on pre-order, and I'm very excited to read it. So, yeah, people, get your copies bought.
And we'll add a link in this week's show note more about that. But next week, Ben will come back. He promised to come back to talk about more political and medical things. The recent appearance by Dr. Fauci.
That is a mess, yeah.
That'll be next week. After Ben Radford, it's Maynard's Spooky Action, part 2 of a 3-part interview of George Hrab, our favourite singer from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And this week, George is going to be speaking about being on X, Ringo Starr and Kookaburras. How about that?
With Maynard.
With Maynard.
Yeah. Listening to the two of them, one of the highlights of my life. They are brilliant.
Yeah,
they bounce off each other.
And after that, we have Noticon interviews with Dr. Sue, who's right here with us at the moment, a Star Trek fan, Amanda, who dressed up in Star Trek outfit, and an extended interview with the one and only Dr. Karl Kruszelnicki, who was one of the highlights of Noticon.
Very exciting. Looking forward to it.
And to round off this week's episode, the Trove Archives, we're going to start a series looking at media references and media mentions of the Bent Spoon Award over the years. What did the media have to say, going right back to the early 1980s? But anyway, now it's time for us to run back to the bar. I think there's still some beers or something going. And while we do that, we hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. On the line all the way from beautiful New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. What a stunning city it is. It's Ben Radford. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Richard. Always delightful to chat with you.
Thank you, Ben. Now, I saw you very recently in Buffalo, New York, where we both attended SciCon, and it was really great to see you on the main stage. What was your section about? What was your session about?
Well, my main session was talking about sort of looking at the history of skepticism, and I had half an hour, and of course, as you know, trying to cover that is a fool's errand. But I focused on my particular area of interest and expertise, and yours as well, which is, of course, investigative skepticism. So, there's the philosophical skepticism, the David Hume, Paul Kurtz, all that's great. And that has its place, and it's wonderful, and this and that. But what really gets me up in the morning, and I know same for you, is investigating and doing research and actually, trying to sort of make a difference in the real world. So that's what I focused on.
Well, to be honest, Ben, what gets me up in the morning are two Skeptic Zone cats wanting their breakfast. That's
well,
paranormal. How do they know what time it is? It's true.
They know it's time to annoy you.
And that exactly is what they do. And then they're very satisfied and go straight to sleep again. Anyway, we can talk about paranormal cats another day. I want to talk to you briefly about your new book. Tell me about it.
Yes, I have a new book coming out. It's not quite out yet, but it'll be out in September. And the title is Weird New Mexico, More Mysteries, Monsters, and Myths in the Land of Enchantment.
Now, you've written a book about New Mexico before, haven't you?
I have. This is actually a follow-up to that. So my previous book, which is I think maybe 10 years ago, was titled Mysterious New Mexico. And it was a collection of a dozen mysteries here in my home state, legends and monsters and ghosts and UFO crashes and all sorts of weird things here in the Land of Enchantment. And it was a fairly well-received book. I think it won an award or two, much like you. But it had been 10 years. And so I said, you know what? I keep doing investigations here in my home state. There's plenty of weird things. And so I figured it was time for a sequel. And so here we are.
What is it about New Mexico? What makes it particularly strange and mysterious?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, I think, to be fair, every place is weird in its own way. Australia is certainly strange, as you know, as saw that when I was there. But I think there is something sort of distinctly strange about New Mexico. I think part of it is the geography, right? It's an arid state, it's the desert. And I think there's a certain mystique to deserts. Of course, much of Australia is desert as well. But there's sort of this, ruggedness, sort of a desolation. I think that sort of sparks people's imaginations.
Would it be fair to say, Ben, that New Mexico might not be such a big spot on the paranormal map if it wasn't for Roswell?
Well, certainly Roswell anchors a lot of it, right? I mean, Roswell is known around the world. It is, that's where people think about when they think of UFOs. And the irony is that, Roswell, it's a nice little place, but it's a dusty sort of border town, not far from Texas. With all due respect, there's no real other reason to go to Roswell. I mean, I don't want to get a bunch of hate mail from the Roswell tourism industry.
Oh, but I don't think there's any danger of that, them worrying about lack of tourists, Ben.
That's certainly true. So, but that being said, there are some internationally known mysteries. One of them, which is discussed in my upcoming book, is the Taos hum.
Oh. Oh.
That is not the actual Taos hum. I have to confess that is my bad rendition of the Taos hum. But that's another case of where it's known certainly nationally of this mysterious hum in the small North New Mexican community of Taos, and it was said to drive people to distraction, and people were wondering, is it aliens? Is it a sonic weapon along the lines of Havana syndrome? So there's lots of exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That must be the hum in question. But it's true, because even here in suburban Sydney, every now and then I'm hearing this very, very low frequency noise, which I can't pin down. And of course I'm hearing because I'm about to record or something, and I'm hopeful for a quiet environment. And I walked outside. Sometimes I walk outside and I think it's got to be it's got to be this, it's got to be that, and just there's nothing. But of course, low-frequency hums and noises can travel an extraordinary distance.
Yes, absolutely. And that was actually one of the keys to solving the Taos hum mystery. Is, for those who don't remember, again, Taos is a artistic small community north of Santa Fe, the capital, and it was home to various celebrities, Julia Roberts at one point, Donna Rumsfeld, and others, and of course there's a thriving artist community there. It was this mysterious hum that emerged basically about 20 or so years ago. And it was, again, just mysterious. There were all sorts of TV shows that were talked about it. But one of the interesting parts about it was that there were people in Taos who still heard the hum even after they moved away to, for example, another state.
Wow.
Yeah.
The traveling humburies.
How is that possible, right?
Possible?
And then answering that question was part of the key to solve the mystery. And the answer is, it's not possible. It is physically and literally impossible to hear anything, including a hum, from a distance of, say, 400 miles. It can't be done. So the question then becomes, well, hold on here. Is it possible that what they're hearing is not, in fact, the Taos hum? And that was part of the answer.
Have you gone there? Have you heard a hum?
I have gone there.
Ooh.
I've been there a couple different times. I was actually there many years ago when I was researching my first book, Mysterious New Mexico, because Taos, in addition to being sort of artsy-fartsy and this and that, they have a bunch of labyrinths. And I have a book chapter on labyrinths. And there's labyrinths in Taos, and so I was there researching that. I didn't hear the hum there at the time, and in fact, the hum isn't really talked about much these days. It's sort of a moribund mystery, not unlike the Bermuda Triangle, where it's well known, but it's sort of frozen in time. It's not something that is discussed that much these days.
I see, and I bet when the mystery was solved, everybody went, No?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's well, look, one of the interesting things about the Taos hum is that it was really only with the passage of time and hindsight that it was sort of able to be solved. Because as with a lot of these mysteries, when you're in the middle of it, there's hype, there's all sorts of sensational news stories, there's theories, circulating, floating around. As you know from your investigations, oftentimes letting the dust settle, letting months or years go by, things shake out, facts emerge, and with the benefit of hindsight, you can sort of piece together and see how these mysteries came about.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing to do in life. It really is. When you're a little kid and you hear about mysteries, which I did, mostly about UFOs and Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the 1970s. And wondering. Now we get to really get to the bottom of many things, which is very satisfying. Well, Ben, we could talk about the mysterious and the strange and the bizarre forever, I think. And you know what? Hopefully you can come back next week, because I know there's another topic that you'd like to talk about you recently blogged on, and that is the recent appearance by Dr. Fauci in front of the Senate.
Absolutely.
But for now, Ben Radford, thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard. Always great to chat.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Well, time to duck and cover under the table now, because we've got my favourite Philadelphian, and that would have to be George Hrab. Hi, George.
Hi, Maynard. How are you? Good to see you. My goodness, it's been way too long.
I would never have thought that you would ever be in my flat, in my bedsit as you are now, as we call it, the Maynard International Studios Annex.
Yes, it's a lifelong dream of mine to be sitting on this green, beautiful couch
Yes,
chatting with you.
Just on a slightly serious notion at the moment, and you're happy not to answer this, the SGU at the moment had some recent issues going, and they probably have in their Wikipedia entry the aftermath section now, which no one ever wants in their Wikipedia entry. And if someone in your life is going politically in a way that you see them going, what's the best way to do that? And is it even possible to even notice?
That's a great question. That's a slightly loaded question, which I appreciate, a slightly loaded question.
I know it's a difficult one.
No, from personal experience. I mean, there's family members, there's friends that sort of go on a path that you see them start thinking in ways that are inefficient, thinking in ways that are confirming their biases, which we're all subject to. I mean, that's centered tenet of skepticism, of the time we need to be the most critical and the most skeptical, is when it's the hardest, and that's when we want it to be true. When we want that thing to confirm what we believe, that's when we have to be the most vigilant. And unfortunately, a lot of people that we know, and you know, and friends of mine know, they get caught into these patterns of not of ignoring that challenge and then confirming what they're thinking and confirming. And when you confirm too much, sometimes you can get led astray. So the thing to do is to be aware of that we're all vulnerable to it, and to be loving. It's such a hard thing to sort of say, but to be full of grace and loving, but then also realize there is a point where you cannot influence someone, and you can't do it to your own detriment. That's that essential part of like realizing I can only help someone as much as I can before I start hurting myself. And that's when you need to then draw a line. And then don't talk about it or cut off ties or whatever works to that place where you're no longer hurting yourself.
A lot of people are staying away from certain platforms like, X, Twitter, that kind of thing. Did you leave that? I mean, because I haven't had that experience, but people like yourself and members of the SGU and other politically active people are probably being experienced the political side of X, which can be really horrible, where I'm just going on a pop culture level of it. So have you found it to be a place you don't go for the people that are there saying just random things for no reason that are bad?
Yeah, I mean, I used to sort of just surf X or Twitter way more than I do now. Now it's kind of out of a disbelief and sort of a hate watching. But the loveliness and the instant nature of Twitter sort of has disappeared, and the algorithmic horribleness of where you can look at something for a second or two out of a real darkness or prurient nature, just like, how is this on here? Which then tells the thing, oh, this is what he likes. And then that's the constant stream that you get, the reinforcement of it. And you realize how people can kind of get stuck in these echo chambers. I still post on it because there are thousands of people that are on there that do follow me. And if a handful of them want to know what I'm up to, I'm happy to let them know. But I won't sit and kind of scroll through and see what X is talking about, because it's very, very depressing.
Yeah, with the colourful glasses, you're rocking a bit of the Ringo Starr there, look a bit too.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll take it. Any comparison to Sir Ringo is fine.
Oh, look, and my dad, who's 98, and I was talking about him in the car, used to be a drummer with the big bands back in the day. He really liked your Ringo Starr breakdown on YouTube.
Your father did?
He did, yes.
Oh,
and
goodness.
He's not necessarily a fan of Ringo Starr's drumming, but he really enjoyed the way you broke it down and completely understood everything you said.
Oh, how nice. Your 98-year-old dad appreciated my ring. Oh, okay, I can go home, back to Pennsylvania, satisfied.
I mean, because he won't watch my stuff, but he watches.
Yeah. My dad watches your stuff, so it works out well. It works out perfectly, yes.
Look, I'm trying not to keep George too long because he's got a lot to do with the SGU.
I got nowhere to go. Come on, just keep going. I'm going to order a pizza. Let's go.
Hey, can I just say that when George, and this doesn't usually happen, when George turned up at the 19th Nervous Breakdown Records here, all these women turned up. Normally that place is full of bitter older guys going through the 60s section, but all these women turned up in mass for something. There wasn't some like that wasn't some fan club thing you'd organised, has it?
I can't comment on that. I don't like to reveal what the fans do on their own time or how they're in communication, where they know where I am 24 hours a day. I can't talk about that. That's not up to me.
Other questions from the listeners. In fact, Richard Saunders is a listener to the podcast. I don't know who he is either, but he wrote, he wanted to know, why do you keep coming here? I expect Australia, not my place, because you haven't been to my place before.
I've really developed a taste for kookaburra.
Oh.
They're just, like if you just thinly sliced and just the right temperature, it's delicious, and I can't stay away.
There you go, Richard. So shut up. Have you got any cool native animals in Pennsylvania?
I don't know if there's any native Pennsylvania animals.
What's the state animal?
What's the state animal? I think it's some kind of Phillies fan with a beer-based hat. I think that's the state animal. Yeah, we do in Bethlehem proper. We have these swifts that have become the official bird of Bethlehem.
Those little tiny.
They're little tiny beautiful chimney swifts, they call them. And the problem with the chimney swifts is they've when they're migrating, they sleep in chimneys, and there's fewer and fewer chimneys anymore. So literally, some developers are keeping the old chimneys of their buildings whilst redeveloping the rest in order to preserve the swifts' migrational patterns. Isn't that lovely?
Wow.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that people would be that focused.
Right. But apparently there was one in particular. There was an old Masonic temple that was being torn down that had this massive chimney. It was being turned into a hotel. The developers kept the chimney, added, I think, something like a $30,000 or $40,000 bill to their redevelopment of the place because they knew this was a particularly large chimney that these Bethlehem swifts were using. It just makes me so happy.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, look, here I am wandering around in my in my Christmas suit in July, and I see someone who has even a much better outfit than mine. Who have we got here? And please describe your outfit for us.
I'm Amanda, and I'm wearing what's colloquially known as a red shirt uniform from original Star Trek.
Yes, it's the female one. You've even got the go-go boots as well.
I do, and Maynard, I don't have it with me. It's in the other room, but I have a tricorder.
Oh, it's the one you can put the discs in and stuff like that, is it?
It's not. It's one I printed myself.
Yeah, we like that.
It's very nice, and I've got a little communicator as well.
Great.
I didn't make this. I bought this one.
Look, I was always so happy when the Motorola phones came out like that, and you could pretend you were, Captain Kirk. Yeah.
Weren't we all? I had a red one. I loved it.
Now, do you have the go-go boot pants to wear underneath that? Because if I seem to remember on the original show, they were all the hemline was a bit high, so they had to have matching coloured pants in case something happened. They fell over a rock or something on a planet,
No, I've just got these black ones with a lot of pockets, so it's very handy.
And you said your son made it for you.
My son made it. He studied fashion design. He didn't quite get through.
He's got it flicked. Oh, well, I mean, I wouldn't have failed him on that, what you got there.
I'd give him a solid pass. I'm very happy with this.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to say must try harder if he does that.
No, I thought he did well. He's switched. He's studying a different thing now. He's studying linguistics instead, so he'll probably be teaching me Klingon next. I don't know.
Oh, right, yeah. So he's going to be the Uhura.
He could be. He's very good at communications. He does speak multiple languages.
Wow, that comes in handy when you're buying stuff at Aldi.
Yes.
Now, tell me, what have you enjoyed most about the SGU Nauticon Skepticon 42 experience so far?
I'm getting to say hi to a lot of people. I'm not very good at getting out and saying hi, so I thought maybe if I did something like wear a nerdy-looking Star Trek outfit, people might want to talk to me.
Has it worked?
It has. Here I am talking to Maynard wearing a Christmas outfit. I'm loving it.
Have you got to go in for the next year?
I do. I have to go in.
Well, what's your main skepticism thing that you're about? What attracted you to it?
Ghosts. That was what started me. I wanted to tell me the real thing about ghosts. Do you know what the real thing about ghosts is? They're not real. There's no such thing as ghosts.
Well, it's the truth will set you free, but it's a bit of a letdown occasionally, isn't it?
Sometimes it makes life a little bit sadder, but we just have to live with it.
Well, they're starting their show in there, so go and enjoy.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Maynard.
much. Thank you. Hello, we're here with our favourite online emergency doctor. Who we got?
This is Ieraci, talking to my favourite online military-dressed interviewer.
Yes, I'm wearing my Von Trapp family suit, which you'll just have to imagine. But just imagine me conducting a bunch of children singing The Lonely Goat Herder or something like that.
That's exactly what I'm imagining while I'm speaking with you.
Yeah, that's the picture in their head when they hear me all the time. What have you been looking forward to, or what have you enjoyed the most so far in this Skepticon?
Well, one of of the things I've really enjoyed was the way that this not-a-con has turned a potentially boring series of talks into a really fun, interactive activity, or a range of activities, and I think the creativity of it is fantastic.
What do you put your hand up for creatively so far?
Oh, I really enjoyed the Teams event where we had to pitch some sort of a product to a group of judges, and the group that I was in had to pitch some pseudoscience.
Oh, which one did you pick? Which did you pitch?
Well, we pitched the string theory, which was explained as the way you tie your shoelaces relates to your personality.
And look, it's not that far removed from what you'd expect to see on late night television TV selling or something, is it really?
That's true, and selling something is really the key to it. But the best thing about string theory and not with a K, when you're at not a con with a C, is the infinite number of puns that were available.
And it's about as accurate as astrology anyway.
Probably more so, if you think about it. There's probably at least as much evidence.
Now, are you looking forward to maybe getting up on stage and doing something tonight?
That I'm not sure about. I wait to see what will happen.
Ooh, okay. You just never know what's going to happen. Well, enjoy the rest of the con. I'll maybe have a chat to you tomorrow when you'll be going, I shouldn't have done that.
Thank you, Herr von Trapp.
Oh, yeah. Look, we're here with Dr. Karl, who's just been crowing loudly about his wonderful electric car and house you have. How are you, Dr. Karl?
Very well, thank you, Dr. Maynard.
Tell me, when was the first skeptical conference you went to? Was it in this country or somewhere else?
I can't remember. I think it was involved with the fine Richard Saunders. If only we had a Richard Saunders in the house to tell me when it was.
Yeah, when was it, Richard?
A long time ago.
That's when it happened, a long time ago.
And do you think critical thinking since that time has got any sharper or more popular in Australia, or it's fallen by the wayside?
Both, depending on what subset of society to which you belong. Critical thinking is essential to be able to survive. It's the last line of defence in the barrage of lies and misinformation that comes down the line. And in some cases, people have got more critical thinking. In other situations, they have less. So, for example, in some people who are addicted to social media, yes, they will believe that this product that they can buy online will cure sunstroke, syphilis, varicose veins, and improve their handwriting and make them more attractive. But on the other hand, they will believe lies about climate change. So we have different strengths and weaknesses where we need to apply our critical thinking, and the easiest person to fool is yourself. So often you don't know where your deficiencies are.
Well, just last night I was reading that apparently in Japan med beds have been approved, which is amazing that the Japanese can approve something that doesn't exist.
Assume I know nothing of this thing of which you speak. What is a med bed?
Well, yes, I've heard this for a while. It's something where you would, obviously you've heard of this one, Cara, that it's a bed you would lie on and it heals you and it's anti-aging and it does all that. I've only ever seen it exist in movies. And there was a number of different social media posts that were saying this had been approved in Japan. And it was going, I don't know how you could approve something that doesn't exist, Karl. Have you ever heard of a med bed?
No, I have not, but there are many areas about which I know nothing. On the other hand, I have enough academic training to know not to trust everything that comes out on social media or, in fact, in the peer-reviewed literature.
So I guess you wouldn't be injecting any adrenochrome lately.
Adreno is to do with the adrenal glands, and chrome means colour. What is this adrenochrome?
Well, where have you been, Karl? This is one of the big theories that people children possibly being milked of adrenochrome, or generally adrenochrome is useful for keeping you young, or something like that. It depends on who you're talking to on Twitter.
There are small elements of truth. So, for example, with regard to red light therapy on skin, there are certain cases under which it can be beneficial, but then the marketing people have been allowed to take over. It saddens me to some degree that there is no burden of proof required upon advertising claims.
Yeah, because both those things are pretty high bars.
Yeah. On the other hand, I luckily suffer from irrational optimism, so I think things will get better.
Well, how do you react when you run up against something like, just say really, I was on like a flat earth theory or something like that, which goes against everything you've studied your entire life and taught? How do you even start to reply to someone who throws that one at you?
I tend to keep my big mouth shut and my big ears open and try to see where they're coming from. And sometimes you can talk to them and sometimes you can't. There's kind of different levels of having gone down the path of darkness. So level number one is people like you and me who obviously are not expert in everything, but we know when to trust an expert. So neither you nor I, Maynard, are dentists, but we do brush our teeth, we do the gums, we use dental floss, etc., etc. And then there's another bunch of people who are like you and me, but their life circumstances stop them from being able to express their rationality, and they're working 3 jobs between 2 people. They're barely keeping the family going. They don't have time to read the newspapers. They don't have time for anything, and so they'll believe stuff that is said enough. And so if the Murdoch press tells them for 30 years that there's no such thing as climate warming, as global warming, they'll believe it. And they can be brought back from the darkness. Then there's category number 3 who have gone down the rabbit hole and they cannot be brought back. And so, as an example, there's one person I've been corresponding with over the years who gradually went down the rabbit hole, and I realised he'd severely gone down the rabbit hole when he told me, now you've heard of Princess Diana and she died in a road accident?
The pillar number 8 or 7 or whatever it is, in the tunnel.
Yeah. So he told me in the course of a conversation that not only had Princess Diana been deliberately assassinated and killed by the British royal family, but she was also still alive. Right. And he believed both of those, and I asked him separately, and he believed both of those fairly contradictory concepts in one brain. He can't be brought back easily. And then there's number 4, who are people who are paid to go online and tell lies. And I've been able to track them attacking my ex-Twitter account via some fairly careful online forensics, and we followed them as they woke up from their IP addresses across the world. And it turns out that, by the way, with regard to MAGA, M-A-G-A, Make American Great influencers and people who make money from it, wait for it, 95% of them are not in the USA.
Get out.
Right? And
they're in Quebec.
No, and then category in India, poor countries, Ukraine, etc., and Romania. And then category number 5 are bots. You can't bring them back. So when you ask that relatively simple question of how do you deal with somebody, I try to work out where their belief system is. And so I was just having a humble meal at a cheap outdoor Asian restaurant near the ABC, and a guy said, "Hey, Karl, look, what's this about the flat earth thing?" And I said, "Well, you tell me." So I was listening, and he said, "Well, obviously the North Pole is in the middle, and you can't go to Antarctica. It doesn't, because firstly, it doesn't exist, but secondly, at the same time, Antarctica is surrounded by NASA submarines that stop submarines from going there, NASA ships at the surface who stop ships from going there, and NASA airplanes who stop people from going there." And I said, "But I've been to Antarctica 7 times and I haven't run into these NASA operatives." And he just stood back in horror. His mouth twitched and he kind of balled his fists. And he said, "Oh my God, you've been bought out by Big Globe." Big Globe are the people who make the globes of the Earth and who put forward the globe theory so they can make money selling globes.
Wow.
I suspect that it's difficult to bring them back in a short 5-minute conversation.
Yes, okay. Yeah, well, look, sometimes the way to do is to outdo them. I find if there's people that deny the moon landing, you say, "What, you actually believe there's a moon?"
Oh!
And it's a concept of auto-hoaxing, which I listen to Infinite Plane Radio, and he thinks that pretty much all the news is made up from years ahead, and everything is pretty much hoaxed to a certain extent. Charlie Kirk, not dead. JFK, he's on an island somewhere. That kind of stuff. Now, why Charlie Kirk and JFK would share an island together, their political views wouldn't fit together, I don't know. But that sort of thing is, and so when you do that, that sort of throws them off a little bit. So maybe
that's technically called?
Auto-hoaxing.
Auto-hoaxing?
No, I think it's one word, auto-hoaxing.
Because that ties in with a subset of the flat earth theory, that there is a barrier that God put up about 200 kilometres above the earth. Now, I'll just do a little deviation here. Why God, who's been around for a long time, would choose to put a barrier above the Earth to stop us from going to space and choose an exact multiple of a unit that was invented several thousand years after he began the universe, I don't know, but leave it at that.
Surely he'd work in kilometres.
Yeah, well, it was... getting back to my train of thought here.
Sorry.
So they believe that there's this barrier and that the stars, or the objects you see, are not actual objects, but they're luminaries. Oh. Right, okay. So they're not actual objects in the sky. And that's why aeroplanes can't go into, or spacecraft can't go into space, and they all blow up. And the things that you see on the International Space Station are obviously fake. And the internet from the Starlink, that's all fake as well, given to us by balloons.
Okay, well, what is the one thing we can look forward to in science in the future and in skepticism in the future that you feel very confident and happy about, Dr. Karl?
That will continue to be surprised. So I've just done a story this week that it is now believed to be accurate that this phase of existence called terminal lucidity exists. So in case of people with Alzheimer's disease, we've suspected this for a long time, but only recently have we proved it, that in a subset of people, because we haven't tested everybody, in 15% of cases with Alzheimer's disease, when people have become very, very out of touch, they suddenly become lucid for a little while and then they die. And this is opening up a whole new field of research because we've failed with Alzheimer's in the sense that we haven't got a cure, and we've found that several of the pathways we went down fake. So firstly, we're being, well, not fake, but they led to blindness. And secondly, I just found out this morning that we've found that a transmissible infectious virus exists in fish. A cancer virus. And we knew that this was the case with the Tasmanian devil. We'd never found in fish. So my prediction, science will continue to surprise us.
Oh, by the way, I have an answer to your previous question. About 22 years, you were at our Skeptics conventions, and this picture is from 12 years ago in Las Vegas.
Oh.
The amazing meeting, you and I.
Oh, you look identical, Karl.
Oh, darling, you say the nicest things. So for that trip, because I was in love with the song Route 66, we then flew to Chicago and got ourselves a 1955 Chevrolet and tried driving across 2,000 miles all the way from Chicago to LA, but the engine blew up part of the way, and then we had to travel in an ordinary car, but it was a lot of fun.
Look, you should have just gone Honda, mate. That would have been the best idea.
It would be more reliable and less noisy, and the brakes would work. But on the other hand, when you're driving down the road in a 55 Chev, and I'm a fan of old American Iron, everybody's in front of you, including the cops. The cops bloody love you, man. That's the way to travel.
Thank you, Dr. Karl.
Now, I feel I must relate a letter to you that I received just the other day, an email from Elaine and Dorothy. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Elaine and Dorothy at the recent SciCon in Buffalo, New York, and at Skeptical in Berkeley, California. Now, at Skeptical, I gave my talk about the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. And at the end of that talk, I encourage the audience to go to a Mind, Body, Spirit, Mind, Body, Wallet New Age festival and ask questions, gather information, and see what it's like for themselves. And I am delighted to say that Elaine and Dorothy took up my suggestion. And this is what they wrote. Hello, Richard. This is Elaine and Dorothy, the sisters at SciCon and Skeptical, with the little green frog. We wanted to report on a field trip we took this past weekend. There was a small holistic health expo in Long Beach with free tickets. So, of course, we had to go. It was worth every penny that we spent. Beforehand, we made a list of buzzwords that we thought we might see or hear at the expo. We tried to exclude what we considered to be gimmies, such as intuitive and Reiki. Then we turned this into a bingo card. We are pleased to report that we were able to mark off 23 out of 25 terms. It was fun to try and get the presenter to say the words. The easiest way was to ask how something worked, and then ask more leading questions. This also kept us focused on whatever they were saying. The most surprising thing to us was that 2 out of the 50 vendors, mediums, grifters, were so-called Christian organizations. Our favorite was the one that was selling their book, 50 Years of Polyamory. If we had not heard your talks, we would definitely not have gone to the show. It was a very entertaining afternoon. So, thank you for the encouragement. Elaine Baden, Dorothy Bullard. Well, thank you, Elaine and Dorothy. It was great to meet you, and thank you very much for letting me know about your adventures. Now you too, thanks to Elaine and Dorothy, you too can have your own New Age Mind-Body Wallet bingo card. Here are the list of terms, and don't worry, you can always copy and paste this off this week's show notes. Quantum, regression, biome, regulate, ancestral, cellular, channeling, aura, colloidal, psychic energy, amino acids, peptides, orgone, as in orgone energy, crystal energy, holistic, past life, essence, balancing chakras, grounding, ancient Chinese, metaphysical, frequency, realignment, red light therapy, angels. Well, there we are, the Elaine and Dorothy New Age bingo card. You know what? You don't have to just copy and paste the words from this week's show notes. I'm going to add a link to a downloadable PDF you can print out and take to the next Mind-Body Wallet. New Age bingo card. Download yours today at skepticzone.tv. Once again to go back to those archives, no matter where they are, normally at Trove, at trove.nla.gov.au, of course the repository, reservoir, let's use that word, of digitised newspapers from Australian history. Now, only a matter of a few weeks ago, the Australian Skeptics gave out the Ben Spoon Award to Dolly Adamson of Kangton Paranormal, who claims to talk to dead children using a spirit box. And it's hard to imagine a more preposterous piece of paranormal biffle than that. But it got me thinking, I wonder what newspaper references were made to Ben Spoon winners of the past. And so today in the Trove segment, we're going to be looking back at some of those winners, and this is part one of a series that might go on for some weeks. Today we're looking at winners from the very early days of the Ben Spoon: Tom Ward's in 1982, Dennis Hassel in 1983, and Willard Fuller from 1985. And a quick look at Tom Ward's. The overview: Tom Ward's was a self-proclaimed Scottish-born Australian clairvoyant, psychic and business consultant who became famous in Melbourne during the late 1970s and 1980s for making widely publicised and often inaccurate predictions in the Australasian Post magazine and on radio programs. And a couple of newspaper returns here. One from the Melbourne Observer from the 28th of March 2012. So quite a long time after he won the Ben Spoon Award. Melbourne used to ridicule self-styled clairvoyant, psychic and business consultant Tom Wards. The Scot would offer his predictions in the Australasian Post magazine and radio programs including Lee Drew's 3AK Night Watch. Quote, "I don't understand how he keeps going when he's nearly always wrong," end quote, said one skeptic. After it was calculated, Tom's predictions had an 8% success rate. Tom claimed 85%. What amused us most about Tom was that he claimed to be able to connect with the other side, putting his paying customers in touch with their lost relatives. "Is that a Maggie, a Heather, a Moira?" Tom would ask callers across talkback radio waves. Interestingly, most of the names had a Celtic heritage, just like Tom. A similar thing happened on Sunday night when Sydney-based psychic medium Louise Herman conducted a 2-hour public session in Carlton. Most of Louise's spirit world connections on Saturday were Anglo with common names: Kate, Tom, Ted, Mary, John, Paul, Jen, Chris, Scott and Joe. And a picture of Louise Herman and a picture of Tom Wards. And I met Louise Herman many years ago, I think at a Mind Body Wallet festival. Another quick clipping here from 1999 on the 3rd of February in the Hills Messenger from South Australia, and it's only a couple of lines in the advertising section. Tom Wards, clairvoyant, available Adelaide Friday, Feb 19 through Thursday, Feb 25. For bookings, phone 80-8264-8299. Undoubtedly a long discontinued phone line there. And finally for Tom Wards, we have from 1987 on the 2nd of July as published in the Sydney Morning Herald. Great moments in clairvoyance. In January last year, Australasian Post asked Tom Wards, an internationally famous clairvoyant, to describe some of the major events he could foresee for 1986. Of course, everyone forgot about them, including perhaps Mr. Wards, but not the Australian skeptics. They followed up every prediction and have published the results in their latest newsletter. Here are some of the forecasts followed by the skeptics' comments. Wow, it's good to know the skeptics were doing that way, 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 way back in the 1980s. We read on. Many strikes in Queensland, and the whole state will be brought to a standstill. This could force the Premier to resign and bring a change of government. There weren't, it wasn't, and he didn't. Many changes ahead this year, and upsets with federal and state leaders at loggerheads. Anyone could have predicted that. A man thought to be Lord Lucan, the missing British peer, wanted by Scotland Yard for questioning about a murder of his children's nanny some 10 years ago, will be arrested in the Queensland outback. At last, a fairly detailed prediction. Unfortunately for Tom, a miss. A prominent businessman will be arrested for growing marijuana in northeast Queensland. Perhaps he was so prominent that it was all hushed up. There will be a rumour of Mr. Alan Bond standing for Parliament or entering into politics. Not even a hint of news that this would come to pass. Mr. Bond probably has too much influence already to want to enter Parliament. Well, so much for Tom Wards, the 1982 winner of the Ben Spoon Award. Now we go to 1983, and we have Dennis Hassel. Now, at the Australian Skeptics website, where it lists all the previous winners, it says Dennis Hassel, medium, whose chief trick was to make his hand disappear. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about, but anyway, what I do have for Dennis Hassel, who was promoted generally as a clairvoyant or medium, is from the Hills Gazette from South Australia, dated the 15th of February 1978, so a few years before he won the Ben Spoon Award. And the story is ESP lectures at Valley Institute. Internationally known medium Mr. Dennis Hassel of Coromandel Valley has started regular Sunday lectures on extrasensory perception at the Coromandel Valley Institute. Mr. Hassel has studied ESP and a number of associated fields in England and has addressed international audiences on the subject. Lectures at the Coromandel Valley Institute will be held each Sunday from 7:30 p.m. Mr. Hassel said the 1.5-hour lectures for the next 2 weeks would deal with life after death. Other aspects covered by the lectures will include clairvoyance, psychometry, which I think we were talking about last week on the Skeptic Zone, transfiguration, psi developments, direct voice phenomena, spiritual healing, the human aura, meditation, psychic photography, and the philosophy of continuous life. Apart from that, there's not very much mention of Mr. Dennis Hassel. Now we'll end with the year 1985, and the award here, as published at the Skeptics website, says 1985, the Findhorn Festival Group won, which supported the visit to Australia of an American psychic dentist, Willard Fuller. Brother Willard left town just ahead of some injunctions from real dentists. A psychic dentist boggles the mind. But we do have something about Dennis Fuller, published in 1986, so a couple of years after he won the Bent Spoon Award, in the Canberra Times, and this is from the 11th of March. And this is by Ian Warden. $12 to hear about the divine dentist. Break their teeth, O God, in their mouth. Psalm 58. Behold, thou art fair, my love. Thy teeth are like a flock of sheep that are even shorn. Song of Solomon. My fawning readers will be aware of my book. Do polar bears experience religious ecstasy? Now a major motion picture starring Meryl Streep and Arthur Beetson. And might imagine that a book called Can God Fill Teeth must be a book from the same zany writer. In truth, Can God Fill Teeth is the real name of a real book by one Daniel W. Fry, one of several crucial facts I have derived from a swag of literature announcing the forthcoming visit of evangelist Willard Fuller, man of miracles. I have not read Mr. Fry's book, but given that it is about the miraculous Willard, it seems highly likely that he has answered his own question in the affirmative, and that he points out not only that God fills teeth, but he sometimes fills them with gold and silver. Willard, who with his equally toothy wife offers us an ivory-filled smirk from the cover of his brochure, claims that at his meetings, quote, cavities are filled, old fillings become new, malocclusions are straightened, gum disorders are healed, new teeth grow, dentures are tightened, stained teeth become white, end quote. Some or all of these things are expected to come to pass at the Woden Library Hall next Sunday when this divine dentist speaks there and when he does a little laying on of hands. His technique is to smack his patients lightly on the cheeks and then to exorcise the fangs of the demon decay. At $12, one of Willard's university degrees is in business administration, and given the cost of more orthodox dentistry, this seems like a bargain, as well as being a spiritually uplifting evening. A testimony accompanying Willard's brochure boasts, quote, today, conservatively, there are some 25,000 people in America who have the evidence of this miracle in the mouth, end quote. Sometimes, his testimony says, onlookers can actually watch the fillings gradually form, but sometimes, as is often the case with miracles, it takes a little longer. Porcelain fillings are the most common, we learn, but people with a galaxy of cavities will be interested in the knowledge that, quote, where there are several cavities to be filled in the same mouth, one or two will be filled with gold and the rest with silver or porcelain. End quote. It should not come as a surprise that the God who parted the Red Sea and who raised the dead is quite capable of restoring a few fangs. Yet it is less obvious why the God who asks us to eschew material things would want to fill our faces with ostentatious gold and silver when porcelain will do. And why would he bestow gold fillings upon the rich? One of Willard's testimonies from a Mr. Allen of San Antonio in Texas relates that, quote, a well-known medical doctor in our city had a cavity filled with bright gold, end quote. But I would have thought that it would have been easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich doctor with a 22-carat canine to enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, there we go. And you know what? I'm really pleased I read that because I didn't know very much about the psychic dentist from all those years ago. And sometimes I mention it in media interviews. I say a psychic dentist. Now, thanks to this news clipping, I know a little more. Now, diving into the pages of the Skeptic magazine, and this comes to us from, let me see, Volume 6, Number 2, from June 1986, which covers the report of the Ben Spoon Award from 1985. There's a story about Willard Fuller, plus some clippings from advertising. And there's a funny one here. This is by Mark Plummer, one of the original founders of the Australian Skeptics. Sponsor of Psychic Dentist Gets Ben Spoon Award. The advertisement reproduced here says, miracles demonstrated through dentistry. This may sound a little crazy, but Brother Willard Fuller, a psychic dentist, and his wife Margaret will be in Chatswood to painlessly fill your cavity, straighten your teeth, and help you with any other health problems. Thursday, March 13th, 7 p.m, and a possible second night. Bailey Theatre, Town Hall, Victoria Avenue, Chatswood, $20. As Brother Willard requests an audience of no more than 300, admission will be by ticket only. These are available from the New Awareness Centre, 14 Thomas Street, Chatswood, 2067. Personally or by mail. Send a stamped self-addressed envelope with cheque or money order for $20 per ticket, made payable to New Awareness Centre. Inquiries 412-2609. But you too can look for worthy or unworthy winners of all sorts of things, including the Ben Spoon, when you go to Trove at trove.nla.gov.au, put in your search, because when you do that, you never know what you might find. Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Did you enjoy this week's episode?
Loved it.
Yeah. Sue, it was great to hear you on this week's episode.
Thank you, Richard. It was really a good episode to listen to.
We've lost it. We've lost the plot here at Skeptics in the Pub. Thank you to those Patreons and PayPal supporters who mean the show keeps going. Aren't they wonderful people?
Yes, absolutely.
I met one here tonight. He was here. Oh, he's gone. He must have gone already. He
give him an autograph.
No, he gave me his, but that's... Oh, I forgot.
You paid him.
I paid him, yes. No, it was great to meet a supporter of the show here tonight.
Imagine, few and far between.
Very few and far between, thank you, Lara. Coming up on next week's show, part 2 of Ben Radford. Yes?
Very exciting.
Talking about Dr. Fauci. We have part 3 of Maynard's interview of George Hrab and more interviews from Noticon. And on the Trove Archives, part 2 of the references to the Ben Spoon. This is getting far too complicated.
Yes.
Yes.
That's too much maths.
But until then, this is Richard Saunders and
Lara Benham
signing off from Sydney's Skeptics in the Pub.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for episodes and show notes with links going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone on Facebook, X, TikTok and YouTube by clicking the links at our homepage, together with links to support the show financially via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of the Skeptic Zone podcast or any other skeptical organisation.
Ben Radford, don't go away. Oh, you're still there. Go away. No, come back. It's all right. Ben, look what I've got to show you on the video. Yes, all right, Ben. Very funny. He's frozen, everybody. Look at that.
That's one of our Squaring the Strange die or dice. Love it. There's me and Celestia.
Which means we're going to play the dice game. Now, folks, for you at home, of course, if you haven't heard this part of the show, I'm just drawing up a little chart here. This is where we roll a die, usually a D6 or a D10 or a D20. Today it's a D6 for Squaring the Strange. It is a Squaring the Strange die. How can people get this, by the way, Ben?
So they can get them when Celestia and or I make our appearances. We will be speaking. We'll both actually be at DragonCon this year around Labor Day weekend. And I promise that if you come up to me and or Celestia, unless we're eating, of course, or in the bathroom, that's sort of obvious, and ask for a Squaring the Strange die, we'll be happy to give you one.
Fantastic. Anyway, this is a part of the game where we roll a die 3 or 4 times, and we both use our magic psychic powers to predict what's going to happen. And you at home or you driving, or you walking, or you doing the dishes, whatever you're doing, walking the dog, the cat, the mouse, can use your psychic powers to predict the number. Ben, we're going to roll it 4 times, 3 times and 1 supplementary, 4 times, whatever. And I'll get your predictions before. What do you predict for roll number 1?
I'm going to go for roll number 1. I'm going to say, I'm not a number, I'm a free man. Number 6.
Ooh, I'm going to go for number 5. Or the Susan number, we call it. Roll number 2.
Roll number 2 is going to be a 2.
Ooh. I'm going to go 1. Roll number 3.
It's an odd number. They're all a bit weird, but I'm going to say 5.
5. And I think that's a 747 going overhead at the moment. Or something. So I'll put a 4. And for roll number 4, what do you think?
4. I'm going to go with the 4. I think.
4. And I think I might say 3. Okay, so our numbers are set down. Here it comes. Roll number 1. And if I angle my dice machine so you can see.
Oh, yes.
Right here.
2.
2.
Okay.
We didn't get that one.
Work. Okay,
right.
well.
Roll number 2. Here it comes.
3.
3.
Oh, okay.
No, I said 1 and you said 2. Okay.
I gotta go. I have a good feeling about this one.
Okay, roll number 3. You said 5 and I said 4.
It will be 5. And it was 5.
5. My goodness. Ben Radford is the lucky winner today. Well, there's one more roll. I might tie. Here we go. Roll number 4. I said 4. No, I said 3. I beg your pardon. And you said 4. Yeah.
6. Oh.
6.
No. Okay, so I have to say, the 6, I meant to say the last one. So I know I told you the first roll, I meant to say the last roll. So if you just switch those.
You must have been talking to some psychics. That's exactly what they would say. Today's winning numbers, folks, and Ben is the winner, by the way. Today's winning numbers are 2, 3, 5, and 6. Oh, look, they're in sequential order. Sequential? Sequential. They're in Sasquatch order. 2, 3, 5, and 6. Ben Radford, thank you.